And in doing so, we easily say, oh, my dad is just like Fir'aun. Or my son is like the son of Nuh alayhi salam. Easy to make somebody else the villain, right? They may have done those things. But you know what? Nobody's defined by their mistakes. And even though we don't give anybody a free pass, at the same time, you don't get to just disqualify a relationship and end a relationship because something upset you or upset me. We don't get to do that. You can walk away from a business partner because that's a business partner you chose. You can walk away from a customer or a salesperson because those are your choices. In fact, in the Quran, you can even walk away from a marriage because it's a contract. You can walk away from it. You can't walk away from your brother. You can't walk away from your father. You can't walk away from your mother. You can't walk away from your child. Why not? Because you didn't choose them. That's something Allah joined. And the people who break that are the first definition of the fasiq. Now, what did I tell you about the fasiq in the beginning of this khutbah? They are the ones who make a joke out of the ayat of Allah. They are the ones that have corruption deep inside. They are the ones that don't deserve the guidance of Allah. Imagine that. The reality of this is that there are two extremes. In the old times, there used to be tribe systems, big families, large, joint family systems, right? Tribal life. And in tribal life, what happens is the elder has the most authority. So if the elder has a big ego, then he will do all kinds of injustice in the family and nobody can question it. Why? Because he's the elder. He will tell a son, don't talk to this one. Cut those people off. Take the money away. Kick this one out of the house. And everybody has to follow. What did Allah say? Allah said, even when there is a tribal hierarchy, you don't get to break those ties just because He told you. Nobody can tell you to break a tie. You have to go rebel against the elder of the family to keep the ulul arham. Sometimes you have to do that. Even that was a revolution. But in the modern world, we have a new problem. Sometimes we don't have that kind of authority in our families because we're living in different continents. We don't have that. We have a new kind of problem. We have people that have a grudge against each other. We have a grudge against each other. There are men, for example, that have children from different marriages. And the mothers of those children or the families of those children are being trained. They're training those kids to hate each other. Those kids are tied to each other by blood. By blood. And when someone is telling them to not connect with each other, not talk to each other, cut each other, all of that, what are they doing? They're doing exactly what Allah described when He said, وَيَقْطَعُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَنْ يُوصَلَ. They're cutting what Allah commanded to keep joined. There are people who two brothers had a fight. Long time ago, they were doing a business together. They had a fight. Now they don't call each other, they don't talk to each other or whatever, right? Now both of them have children. And those children are cousins with each other. They have a ulul arham relationship. And in fact, you should be good to your uncle also. In a hadith about the maternal aunt, al-khalatu fi halat al-um, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, your mother's sister has the same status as your own mother. Fi halat al-um. Another narration that Al-Qurtubi mentions, if you didn't walk to your family member, walk over to them and you didn't help them, then you've cut the ties. That much expectation. But now you have, I can't talk to my cousin because if my dad finds out, he's going to be really mad. Because we're supposed to stay away from that family at all cost. Who are you to cut someone off from that family? Who gave you that right? The only way you can have that right is when you take the word of Allah and toss it aside and then say, you know what? Prayers? Yes. Reciting Quran with tajweed? Yes. Keeping the family ties? No, thank you. I don't need to follow this clause. I'll follow the other clause. I'll go to Umrah though. I'll go to Umrah in Ramadan. But I'll cut the family ties. وَيَقْطَعُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَنْ يُوصَلَ وَيُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. And as a result of that, they create corruption in the land. A new emerging phenomenon in Western countries is divorce in the Muslim families. And with divorce, sometimes there are children. And the children, because divorce gets ugly, the children are being pushed by the father. Oh, your mother did this, your mother did that, your mother did the other. And the mother is saying, your father, you know what he did to me? You know how much he hurt me, etc., etc., etc. Now the child is being ripped apart. This little child is being ripped apart. His fitrah says, I should respect and honor my mother, and I should respect and honor my father. And if the mother and father can hate each other, it's allowed. That's why they're not married anymore. You know what? Life goes on. But if they take their hatred and they try to inject that hatred into who? The children. They are living examples of the fasiq who makes fun of the word of Allah. Living examples of that. Your grudge, your anger, your problem is your problem. Allah connected that child to that man, and Allah connected that child to that woman. No matter how much you don't like that woman, or no matter how much you don't like that man, that is Allah's decision, not yours. That is not yours. And the moment you openly or implicitly or explicitly, through your behaviors, through your manipulations, if you try to turn a child against any parent or any part of their family because it makes you feel good, it makes you feel like, oh, I won the kids. They're on my side now. They're not on his side. They're not on her side. You know, to figure out a way to turn them against each other, then understand that, and what's ironic about this is people become selective about their religion, right? So these are the same people I've seen in communities, same people that are at the masjid at Fajr and Isha. These are people that are praying. Their kids are, learning Quran. The women are observing the Islamic dress code. They're going to Hajj and Umrah. Everything is so Islamic on the outside, but these words of Allah that are like literally in the beginning of Surah Al-Fatiha are being violated every single day and being mocked every single day. What religion is this? What Islam is this? Islam of appearances? Islam of rituals and no practice? This is Allah describing أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Those are the ultimately corrupt. وَيَقْطَعُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلَ وَيُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. Those are the ultimate losers. Why did Allah mention losers at the end? This is what I'll leave you with. Because people that cut family ties, they think they have some kind of victory. I was able to make a son hate their father. I won. I was able to make my daughters or my children hate their mother. I won. They like my side of the family more. They hate, sometimes people they're not even divorced. They're married, but the mother is able to turn the kids against the father side of the family, or the father is able to turn the kids against the mother side of the family, and the father feels like he won. Every Eid, they don't want to go to mom's side. They want to come to my side of the family. They want to be here. They don't want to be there. Yes, I win. Allah says, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. Those are the ultimately corrupt. When you see this kind of thing happening, this is the last comment I make, please take it seriously. When you see this happening in your family, I don't care if it's your father doing it. I don't care if it's your mother doing it. I don't care if it's your older brother doing it or your children. Whoever's doing it in your family, what is the expectation from you? What should you do? Allah says, وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا. Don't let your hate for another group of people keep you from being just. It doesn't matter how much you hate someone, you cannot be unfair to them. It doesn't matter. اعدلوا. Be just. هو أقرب للتقوى. It is the closer thing to taqwa. Allah says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا. Believers, be mindful of Allah and say things in a straightforward way. Dad, that is wrong. Straightforward. Mom, that's evil. Straightforward. We're not going to listen to you because those are family ties. We're not going to do that because we have to answer Allah. Straightforward. The only way you can develop the courage to be straightforward is when your fear of Allah and your desire to protect yourself from Allah is so much greater than your fear of making your uncle or your father or your mother or your brother or whoever else upset. Right now, we live under the fear of people being upset. And we don't have enough fear of Allah. We don't have enough fear of Allah. That's why Allah said, اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. Have taqwa of Allah and say things in a straightforward fashion. Because when you don't have taqwa of Allah, you will have taqwa of someone else. And when you have taqwa of someone else, you cannot be straightforward in what you gotta say. You can't have it. Then you'll have pretend taqwa everywhere else. I have taqwa in prayer, I have taqwa in fasting, I have taqwa in halal food, but I don't have taqwa in my family. You can just pick and choose. You know? This is what we must emerge from. How can we talk about justice in the world? How can we talk about the ummah doesn't get treated with justice? We need to stand up and we need to defend our right. You can't even defend the rights of the wrong happening inside your own family, and now you're going to talk about the ummah having justice? What hypocrisy is this? What hypocrisy is this? It's time to wake up. The Quran doesn't talk about these things in small ways. Allah is basically teaching us how the world changes. When you and I become people of justice in our personal life, in our family life, then we have some ground to stand on which we can say, now we want justice in our society. Then we could talk about bigger components of justice. And that's so funny, right? So interesting that you have people that are unjust to their families and all day discussing politics and the injustice in the world.